Good to go on my end.
Yeah.
Good news.
Yeah. It's doing okay.
I think we changed it for now. We
Hopefully it'll
Thank you
stick.
for everything. I chair the.
No, you're welcome.
We have a meeting tomorrow evening. and
It's fantastic job. Oh, you did a very nice job too, your documentation. Very nice. Yeah.
Oh, really?
We have that trial next month. Yeah, he's trying to.
Hi there. How are you?
Did it-
Good, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'll share this with you. Do you have enough for the solicitor?
I do. Thank
What's
you.
that?
You're welcome.
He's on,
Next time, we have some $10 bills.
Right?
Hand those out.
Okay, well, I figured
When did you?
well, he was on the first, no, these are. they're all right.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
I've already addressed
Actually,
this.
for 3 years.
Bunch of these.
I got it.
Just coming here.
Yeah, no,
Never read
a year and a
this.
half prior, and a year and a half in,
I
he
don't
known
know.
something, except this murder. And so,
All
of a sudden.
He may be connected to me.
yes.
He's a perfect.
Okay.
Like he's.
Very good. Okay. I will call this Wednesday, September 20th, 2023 Lawrence County Prison Board meeting to order. And we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Barry,
Present.
District Attorney Lamacusa,
Present.
Judge Motto,
Here.
Controller Preston,
Here.
Sheriff Calero.
Here.
Commissioner Vogler,
Here.
Commissioner Spillier.
Here. Very good. We do have a quorum. We will move forward on with the agenda. We do have 2 opportunities for visitor comments. I don't see visitors in the audience. If somebody wishes to speak, raise your hand. We'll listen to what you have to say, but I think we're members of the board, the people that are already set to speak. Our third item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have no executive sessions held previously. If we would review the minutes, I will take a motion. And someone is ready. That's from the July 19th, 2023 meeting.
I'll move for the approval.
A second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion, any corrections, any notes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Very good. Okay. I will turn it over to the warden for a review of the population report and our newest edition of personnel report that we will hear from the warden and then with a motion to approve the those as well. And we have both of those in our packets.
As of yesterday, we had 181 inmates incarcerated in Lawrence County Jail. We had 12 inmates out at other facilities for purposes and separations. Currently have 40 inmates from other institutions, other jails that we're holding at the Lawrence County Jail. We have 16 females from Washington County, we have 17 females from Erie County, and we have 2 juveniles from Westmoreland County.
Forgive me, Warden, forgive my interruption. Those last 3 figures that you cited, are they included in this number 40, or are they over and above the 40?
Those are included in the 40.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? We will take a motion to approve each one of those separately. So I will take a motion to approve the population report.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I had a question, which moved too fast.
That's okay. Go ahead. Question it.
Just in the minutes, last month, the population report was 131, this month is 181. That's an increase of 50 in a month. We did just note there's 40 out-of-county inmates. Out of that 50 increase overall from last month, how many are Lawrence County versus how many additional out-of-county since last month? Ballpark figure.
23 out of county, and then we've had a large increase in our own.
So roughly almost half out-of-county. That was the only question I had, there's a big
Yeah,
increase
that's fine.
from
My
last month.
apologies. Right.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I believe we vote on it. It's approved.
Yep.
We'll move forward.
Yep.
Okay. And now the personnel report.
For August and September, new hires were Chrissy Bordius, Katie Oler, and Lila Perez. As far as resignations and terminations, we had employee number 6721 on August 7th. Was a termination, no call, no show, tardiness, and refusals of mandations. And employee number 6746 on 8/28, we had a resignation.
That's September.
That's August and September division. Up until today.
Any questions? Since this is the first time we've done a personnel report, this is something new that we're doing so that we can keep track of the actual hires and dismissals. And this is probationary employees only.
Are we legally okay with putting their names out there?
For new hires, yes.
And terminations?
Well, we normally go with terminations, publicly, we go with employee ID numbers. However, if someone makes a right to know request following the termination, we are obligated to provide it.
Okay, but saying it, in this meeting is not a problem.
It's not a problem. It's up to the board on
Gotcha.
what they would prefer to do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, concerns? I'll take a motion to accept the personnel report.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Very good, thank you. We'll have the listing of the bills in our packet as well. Anything that you would want to add to the approval, before we take the approval, anything coming out to you, Warden, that
As
needs
far
to be
as what,
addressed?
Commissioner?
Anything unusual, out of the ordinary?
Viking and chiller, is what that is. Viking, the one Viking expense, $17,982. The bills.
I was just gonna ask that as well, what does Vikings provide for the facility?
I would have to double check on that. I know.
Whatever, it's something with the hot water system. There's the P. I need to see it.
Here we go.
This Viking chiller was an item that we purchased at the jail as far as water softener, because we do have city water, but it's still really, really hard. Yeah, so we got this water softener. We've been on average almost $100,000 as far as replacing pipes.
Is that one of the pipes you brought over for us to take a look at?
Yes. They were cast iron that were getting eaten up, and so we bought this water softener.
So it's preventative maintenance. That
Yes.
makes sense.
Very good. Thank you.
Another question I had, Dan, refresh my memory, yesterday's commissioner meeting, there was 2 transfers you did for telephone, was the jail one of those?
Right.
Yes, Commissioner.
Was that equipment or ongoing recurring
That was a
bill?
monthly bill, Commissioner.
Why the big increase?
I just noticed that,
We had one other department too, I was gonna check with them.
Right.
The telephone, we had to do a transfer to cover telephone. Was there unexpected increase in the telephone rates or?
no one expected, unexpected increase, but it's something that, as we know, all prices across the board are rising, and that's the telephone bill that we have each month. So that money that I transferred yesterday is going to cover it till the end of the year for our telephone bill. We averaged it out for the last 4 months.
I have no other questions on bills. Has there been a motion yet?
Not yet. Would you make a
I'll move
motion?
for approval of the bills as listed.
Second.
Carrie? Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, sign, motion carries. Very good. I don't have anything for old business. Anybody here, anything? Okay, then we'll move to new business, and I believe we have A bit of a warden update. We always like to know what's going on and happening, new programming, old programming, continued programming. So the floor is yours, Warden.
As far as new business, I think we'll start with Ms. Zarella.
Okay.
If you would like to go over your grant.
Let me go up here.
Yeah, you can, if you want to. It's up to
Here,
you.
that's okay. You guys can hear me. So I included it in your package. So I did include the programming that's going on at the jail.
Blue folder,
Pardon?
so the blue folder.
The blue folder, yes. Yes. So I included all the programming that's going on in the jail. As you're aware, we had the PCCD grant that funded the intercept and reentry program. So there's been a big increase in the number of offenders that have been placed through that. So for the first quarter, we had a 240% increase in the number of offenders who received programming from our highest quarter. So this quarter, it's a bigger increase, 76% over last quarter. We currently have we've processed 90 offenders through treatment programming, drug and alcohol. I just gave you a synopsis of that. And then finally, there's another PCCD grant that dropped. It's due October 18th. It's the RSAT grant, which we'd had prior. It's coming up again. $200,000 is available. The thing is, it does have a match fund, 25% in that. And that we were thinking of using maybe to create a reentry officer, because that seems to be where we're lacking in the programming. I mean, there's been a huge increase in programming, but that seems to be where we're lacking. And kind of how the body spanner position is through mental health, similar to that, where it would be to help anybody with a substance use problem find housing, make sure their insurance is turned on, things that would help them reenter if they don't have a ride, find them a ride, things of that nature. Help them get their driver's license, IDs that they might need. That's about it.
And I know I've shared this story before at one of our CCAP, different types of programming that they have through CCAP. One of the breakout sessions, there was an opportunity to participate in a real life situation. I was actually an inmate getting out of the prison system with my list of things that I had to do. And every 10 minutes was a week of my life, trying to get together to do everything that I had to do to get to my meetings, to first go find a job, to get food, to get to my house, to make sure it was there, if there was childcare that was needed. I made it through 2 weeks before it was so overwhelming because of the demands that there were, that I actually ended up back in the system because I couldn't get everything done that needed to be done in a timely manner. So there is most definitely a need for that reentry assistance, whatever that may be, to help those that are coming out of the system, and even coordination with all of the different programming. Getting, like, I had to get to an anger management class, my drug and alcohol class, go see my probation officer. Oh, by the way, go get a job, but I can't get a job because I didn't get an ID, so I had to go back to go get an ID. Couldn't get that within a week, so there I was behind with everything I was supposed to do from week 1. By week 2, it caught up with me. So it is that was eye-opening for me, because I thought I know the system well, that I could try to work my way through it. And I couldn't do it. So I that's definitely a need, and I know that's the trend. And when we talk on our courts and corrections meetings at CCAP, that is definitely, we talk about the complex case issues and the inmates coming out and trying to get the help that they need, not only while inside, but also getting out of the system. That there's a definite need for it. So this is good. I know that Lisa, you go above and beyond with the grant writing, the reporting, and things like that. So we're lucky to have you. So thank you for that. And I'm sure that we can talk about this grant afterwards with what to do with that. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that report.
The only other thing I would add, well, a couple things I would add as far as new business, that Tech 84 body scanner that I've shared with all of you is finally installed. And we We had the radiation officer going through training for the last 2 days, and then staff training will be in approximately 2 weeks. And our Tech 84 body scanner will be up and running to prevent contraband, weapons, and drugs coming into the institution. We're good. Polycoms, we have 3 Polycom booths that are coming in. It's the Judge Motto, and they should be arriving in about 2 weeks. That'll help with the court arraignments, the court hearings, everything like that. It'll be a lot easier to schedule. Dealing with all these different counties that we're dealing with.
Right.
Everybody wants to schedule themselves right now, and it's kind of a nightmare right now with the scheduling over there. But luckily, I have the records department, Kathy, on top of that, and an outstanding job moving these in and out into the court hearings and the arraignments.
Thank you, Judge Lotto, for,
It's a valuable resource.
Yes.
It does make things a lot easier.
yes. Hopefully it continues, and if there's anything, I know things rush through so quickly sometimes and they're happening, and maybe we don't realize how much more efficient things run because of that. And we need to take the time to go over there and just even observe and see how well it's run and the things that are done. Thank you for that and the cooperation between the courts and the corrections. That's great.
Can I
Yes.
ask a question of the judge and the warden? I'm just curious. Court procedure, court statutes you comply with, is video hearings and arraignments considered equivalent of in-person, or is it the discretion of each judge?
If an inmate demanded to be brought over, we bring him over. But most of them, I've never had one actually ask for that. So as long as there's no objection, it's absolutely fine. Since COVID, it was recognized as being a legitimate alternative, and that's what escalated all of that. But yeah, there's no legal issue there. But like I say, if an inmate objected and wanted to come in person for some reason, we would bring him over. But I've never had anybody ask for that.
Thank you for doing that, and Sheriff, that saves transport costs, it's logistics, and it's
Safety, security, and
a whole bunch of reasons it's beneficial. So thank you for your assistance.
Very good.
I know that with your question, I'm sorry, from my standpoint of being in the hearings, the judges do ask, the inmates to, act like it is a normal courtroom. They are to stand up, they are to, listen and pay attention, not be talking otherwise. So as far as it being like a normal court proceeding, they are supposed to be doing the same thing that they would be doing in court.
Thanks.
Sorry.
And next,
do you want to bring up,
yes.
Barbara, would you brief update on juvenile education programming?
Currently,
I'll just start off first to thank Lisa and staff, everyone over there. We do have the juveniles that we're taking, the direct file juveniles that are charged as adults. They are there, and that has created an entire different situation dealing with them. Lots of counties, or the counties that do have them, to the best of my knowledge, and Lisa, you correct me on this, but it goes to show above and beyond what we're doing because we have the direct file juveniles within our system. The other counties that have their direct file juveniles within their own systems, they sit there in their cells and there are very limited amounts of services made available to them. Whatever services are there for the adult, so to speak, inmate, those are the same types of things that are available. But due to the nature of the direct file, of the age of the juveniles, I know that since we started taking them, we have had a review from Seth Lindquist from the Juvenile Court Judges Commission, and he is very pleased with everything that we are doing with the direct file juveniles. So that being said, a little bit of an intro to what you're going to bring up.
so we have the direct file juveniles, like the paper that I had handed out, those are questions that everybody sort of asks, including juvenile probation officers. The meetings that I've gone to through the state, that the juvenile probation officers have been at, and they have questioned and asked if maybe we could have a meeting with them to kind of explain to them exactly what our direct file IOJ unit is and what they get being on that unit instead of just being locked up and with nothing. They are not around adult inmates as far as housing and PREA regulations go, but they are or can be around an adult inmate as long as an officer is present. So it's not like everything has to be shut down like a normal juvenile. To be housed in there, they have to have, the charges that would make them considered an adult in the criminal court, eyes. And so those individuals are on their own housing unit right now. I have long talks with the Newcastle School District, and they are getting schooling through the Chromebooks from Newcastle, and it is through Edgenuity. And so what they do is they just go through daily. We did have I don't know, am I allowed to say a name?
No.
We did have an individual in there who had an IEP. And so because of that, Newcastle provided us a teacher, Jim Bertolin, who would come in daily and meet with that individual and go over things. If that individual is to not be there and there's no IEPs, then they do not need to send a teacher because it's all through the Edgenuity. They did say to us that if we got enough juveniles in our facility, they would look into hiring a teacher who would be able to come in and assist. Because right now it's me, bringing up the Chromebooks, answering their questions, kind of helping them out as they go. We also, a lot of the questions, that they have is mental health. Do they get mental health? Because they want these individuals to be adjudicated, or eventually, if they would go back to the streets, not be stuck in that mental state where they were when they were originally put in. So in our facility, they do have the medical, the dental, provided by Prime Care, and the mental health, which they can, do the mental health treatment as far as getting on and talking to the psychiatrist, just like any other adult inmate. But Scott Baldwin has helped me, and he reached out to Arise, who is willing to come in, and they are going to do two different programs. One is like a group therapy, and the other one will be individual counseling. I've also looked into possibly trying to, even myself or somebody else, get certified to do ART, which is aggression replacement therapy, so that they, instead of resorting to criminal activity, their minds would go somewhere else. Juvenile probation uses it a lot. It's something that I've looked into. Any questions? I don't know.
I just know that everyone involved with the entire system there has gone above and beyond to make it as comfortable as possible as can be for the direct file, the juveniles that are there, and trying to not just have them sit in their cells without offering services. I mean, the bottom line is that we hope that they can be rehabilitated and they don't choose that life of crime again, and that they can become productive citizens. But I just say thank you for everything that everyone has done at our corrections facility, because it's been ever changing. And I know we've talked before about, do we open up a different type of a unit for secure detention facility, or do we just stay where we're at with what we're doing here? And I truly think that we're doing what we can do and we're perfecting what we're doing and we're getting better at it, we can make that our main focus and not overextend ourselves and get to that point that we're struggling with manpower and we don't want to get into a situation where it becomes a safety issue. So thank you for everything that you're doing. And I did see your hand up. Yes.
I think that the jail and its leadership are being very proactive and are doing a great job having a mechanism in place and a process in place to deal with this. Where I think that we are having difficulties, it's not on the jail end. It's what do we do with these juveniles, if we have to send them someplace or, they have to go. We recently ran into this problem. It's a major problem because it puts everybody in a bad situation. And it's not just because that we're put in a bad situation, that's part of our jobs, but it's truly like, how do we serve the needs of this individual? And I don't think that the jail really can have answers to that. They're doing everything they can do on their end, but we're going to have to figure out something as a county, what we're doing with these people, because no one will take them.
Especially if they have mental health issues.
Correct.
No place wants them.
Violent with mental health issues,
Yes.
worst combination.
So we, at CCAP, I'm the chairperson of the Courts and Corrections Committee. This is a huge issue. And I know Commissioner Burek and I were actually even on a call that we're probably going to talk about. Being involved with this, there's misconceptions about what facilities are opening, which ones can't open, which ones will open. That's why we kept fluctuating on what it was that we wanted to do. So at this point in time right now, because we stepped back from doing the secure detention because we thought there was a facility that was opening in Butler that was going to be secure detention. It is not. It is answering the question with the complex cases, with the mental health issues. There are 40 beds that will be opening at the beginning of November. There's a waiting list for those beds for about 140 juveniles. They're going to take care of 40 of them to start off with the possibility of getting to 60. So that is answering that call. It's still not enough. What we're hoping at this end right now, and it's the next thing that we'll be voting on has something to do with it. So we started accepting the direct files. We had the review from JCJC. We are a proper facility for juveniles to be sent to. Right now, there are juveniles that are in secure detention facilities. They are IOJ juveniles that are there. They're being taken, for example, by George Jr. There are several that are there right now. They are there because they charge less per day than we do. Now, that being said, and you'll see that the next item on the agenda is to lower our per diem rate. We're hopeful that though if we lower our rate, those IOJ juveniles will come to us. That will open up other beds. Not a whole lot, but at least there will be a few because we have heard from the state that it is something that the counties have to address. We've met and we've talked regional. We've been at several different meetings where the state itself is saying, we will help you with construction costs. We will do what we can do for you, but they have pretty much said to us, they are not taking up that cloak again. The Zoom meeting with CCAP that Commissioner Burek and I were on, there was a bit further discussion. The same deputy secretary that was with us when we were at our previous meeting was on. And the thing of it is, he said they are attempting to open a facility, reopen one of the facilities that they had from the state. They are offering $25 an hour to start with full benefits, state pension, state everything, and they can't get people to work. So that for me, as much discussion as we have had, that sort of solidified for me, there's no way that we're going to get enough people to be able to operate a facility to the extent that we need to. And if we're going to offer the services, hiring enough people to be able to do that. So we have sort of shied away from that, but totally agreed that there's a need for it. The big thing with the interest of justice juveniles, and I clarified this, and it was a little bit of a revelation to me. If it's a juvenile going into a secure detention juvenile facility like George Jr., there's an 80% reimbursement rate from the state. So the counties are only paying about 20%. If it is an interest of justice juvenile, they're charged as an adult. There's no reimbursement rate whatsoever. So there is a bit of talk that way to try to get monies to the state, or to the counties, but it involved changing some different rules or regulations. It seemed to me had to go through the legislature and probably wasn't going to happen. So that's in a nutshell. There are no answers and there are no immediate answers, but trust me when I say to you, if I'm wrong, please interrupt me. There is no way that the state is saying they're taking this back up.
If we accept an IOJ juvenile from another county, does that become our responsibility to do, and maybe it's a question for Judge Motto, do we have to do the interest of justice?
No,
the
that county
county
has
of
to
origin
pay.
doesn't.
So do we transport or is it over?
It's been done via Zoom. I'm sorry, Judge.
I'm sorry. Oh, you know better than me.
They've been done via Zoom. They contact us. They actually set up the exact date. They as well have 30 days. Then they have to send me the paperwork. I scan the paperwork in and I put it into the PCCD J-Held system, that they are actually in Lawrence County, but the committing county is Westmoreland, which is who we have right now, or whatever county it may be. But it is their responsibility. If they don't do it, it still falls back on us to reach out to them and let them know, because when we get audited by Seth, we both would get in, written up or however he does it, but each one would be a different way.
Okay.
So I have to have the paperwork by a certain time, but they have to have the hearing. It is their requirement. It is on them to do that. And currently we are the only direct file IOJ unit that is open in this surrounding area. I'm not sure about Philly. We've kind of shied away from that area, but that will accept other IOJs. I'm sorry, Allegheny County has one, but they won't accept anybody from any other county other than Allegheny County. So right now we are the only ones that is open, but there are individuals in Secure who could be moved to direct file IOJs.
Thank you.
It'll open up a few beds, but, and again, the article that Schumann Center was opening up, there was a court order that they agreed upon, the things that were repaired and done, and they addressed the issues, but they're only opening 12 beds. So Allegheny County's got them already taken care of. I don't know what the answer is. There are some short-term fixes, but they're small, and I don't know, but I know we're doing everything that we could possibly do that we can here. Any other questions?
Can I just follow up, please, Commissioner Spillier?
Absolutely, sure.
She gave a good overview of the CCAP call, but the two interesting things additionally I wanted to note. The Deputy Secretary of the State Office, Children, Youth, and Families admitted they have 159 juveniles adjudicated delinquent waiting for secure juvenile detention beds in the state right now. And Mercer County Commissioner and myself reminded them that the state used to have 240 beds right here in Newcastle at Youth Development Center, and the state closed that facility. And we acknowledged it was 2 governors back. And we said, if you thought about reopening it, and she already explained, there still was a Youth Development Center out in Louisville and one in Danville, and they actually have capacity, but they can't get the staff, so they're not going to reopen it. But he said 3 times, it's the county's responsibility.
Yes.
Which leads me to,
Yes.
I don't know if you have any conversations with your counterpart up in Mercer County. Remember the Mercer County Commissioners let their DA jump on. He said, we all know there's been some shooting incidents, unfortunately,
Right.
between Mercer and Lawrence County, young people. And he said there's multiple charges pending against juveniles in Mercer County, but they haven't executed the arrest warrants yet, because literally he said they have no place to put them. So it is a legitimate problem right here in our own backyard.
Yeah.
So.
And no immediate answers. No immediate answers. But we are trying to do our part. And part of that unless there's anything further, anything else from you to work? Okay. Any other questions on anything we talked about? Go to under new business, B, just as we were discussing, our rate right now that we have contracts with counties is $800 per day per juvenile. We would like to, if possible, discuss and take a vote to recommend to the commissioners that we lower our per diem rate to $600. And that way, that rate is much lower than any other facility is charging. And we're hopeful to be able to move juveniles from those secure detention facilities to our facility and open up even a couple more spots to get juveniles that need to be in secure detention.
Is that for the current contracts or just for new contracts?
It would be for the current as well. And we were thinking, by the time it gets to us as commissioners, in speaking with the warden, we would like to see that to start like October 1st. We would let those, that it's one county right now that we have a contract with. We have 2 juveniles here that starting October 1st, if we vote to discuss and make the recommendation, and then we at the commissioners level vote to adjust those contracts, it would start October 1.
Warden, are you for this?
Yes.
I would never put anything forward if the warden.
I assume that this is,
Absolutely.
it's
And we
profitable, but
We have fluctuated back and forth with, what do we answer the call and open the facility, the secure detention facility, because it is so needed. But when you think of all of the regulations and staffing and programming, we go back and forth, and it's like, maybe this is how we answer the call, is we do this, and their staffing, they know their limits and what they can handle and not handle. And, it was actually the suggestion to do that, where we would be able to still utilize jail staff and alleviate an issue somewhere else, so.
We've had various counties contact us and say that, if this rate would drop, that, they would send them tomorrow.
That was a revelation to me, that there were no reimbursements from the state. And it makes sense because they're not a juvenile file. It's an adult file. So,
How many do we have now that we're getting paid for? 2.
It's 2 from Westmoreland County.
So we ran the math, of course, even if we get 1 or 2 more, 1,600 a day, even if we can bump it up to 3 at 600 a day, that's 1,800, still $200 more a day. And obviously, we're still gonna come out ahead. So, and we're actually benefiting other counties, reducing their costs. Like Loretta said, they have to pay 100% of that cost, and it can generate additional revenue for our county. And the more we have, then it'd be easier to bring in programming to serve larger than 2.
Right.
So.
I had Venango County reach out to me and ask me what our per diem was, because they had an individual that they were sentencing to 6 months. And when I told them it, they were like, there's no way, we just don't have it. So when I reached out to them to see if they would be willing to send if it was lower, they had already decided, because that was prior to any discussion of anything. So they had decided on doing something different with him, but I have had counties reach out to me.
I know you're gonna try to do more research. Do we have any idea how many others juveniles are being paid more than 600 a day in Western Pennsylvania? Or
I think there are 4 currently at George Junior, and
I knew there was at
600
least
is
one, so we could
considerably
potentially get
lower.
up to between 1 and 4 more. I think it makes economic sense.
600 is lower than what the George Junior.
Yes,
Yes, she did check that.
I did check that just to see that it was. And it's a bit of an amount lower than what it is. Yes. So, what are we thinking?
Like when they're at George Junior, they're juveniles, so the state reimburses the county, so they're only paying like half of it. Whereas when they're with us, even though we're lower, they still have to come up with a full amount.
Any further discussion? So I'll make a motion to recommend to the commissioners that we lower the per diem rate.
I'll move.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Very good. Yes, I think that will definitely be beneficial. And I feel that we're then at least trying to help out for the time being right now. Okay, visitor comments again, and I don't see.
I just have two things.
Sure, absolutely, go ahead.
I just want to let you know that jail did a phenomenal job dealing with a very difficult individual that was brought to trial. I know what we dealt with in court. I cannot imagine what the jail had to deal with 24 hours a day, whatever it was, and never heard a complaint. They took care of everything. I just think that the warden and his entire staff should be commended for it. And second, we are presently working on a case where we've really done a deep dive into Prime Care's records, and not where Prime Care is the defendant, but they're phenomenal. The level of detail, the attention to detail, I just can't say enough about what we're seeing. So thank you to the prison board. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for everything.
I think we don't say thank you enough for a lot of things.
Especially to the jail.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
The warden will call and say, do you have a minute? And usually it's a text and it's like 2 hours later and I say, yes. But it's just working very, very well. And I can't say thank you enough to all staffing. And I know exactly what the warden is going to say. It's not just me, it's all staff. It's everybody.
It really
working
is.
together.
I mean, we have an
It
outstanding
has to be.
staff. Outstanding.
It has to be. It has to be. And I know that, going back from just what you were saying, Josh, that you don't realize what everybody has to go through, even decompressing from having to deal with that with you, Judge Moto. And I saw you cutting grass the other day. I thought, he's taking that job from Jerry Ann, so he must really he must need some downtime. But, and Sheriff's Department, I mean, you're down personnel to begin with, and to know that you had to have so many officers on standby, and it did get physical. We have great leadership teams and we have great employees, and we sometimes are remiss in acknowledging that, and taking the time to do it now is something that I'm happy to do, and say thank you to everyone for everything that you do, because we are a well-oiled machine. We are, and we should be proud of the things that we do. So, thank you. Okay. On that note, we have no executive session to go into. Not that I know of. I don't think so. I think we're all good, and I will call for an adjournment.
So moved.
Moved in second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you guys very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice meeting you.
Thank you for this recording.
We can recycle this. Thank you, sir. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
He gets it. I know, Kevin gets his. Why do we keep ours? Why do we keep
I'm gonna
ours?
read through this more, but I appreciate all this information. I'm gonna read through this closer.
Yes.
Anything you have a question on, honestly, you can call.
No, I know, I knew most of this, but there was a few things I learned just glancing at. I'm gonna read this.
Yes, most of the, the ones on the front are just like that, like random.
Mary, how you doing?
Everyone has questions on it. I would like to set up a meeting with, the surrounding towns, JPOs and stuff, because they have